Welcome to Vintage Weights PGH. I'm Rob, and this is my Olympic set from Schisler. Schisler? Schisler? I don't know how to pronounce it, to be honest with you, but I do know a little bit about their weights. I'm going to go with the pronunciation Schisler, and with all due respect to the family and the legacy, it's the best that I'm going to go with. Now, speaking of the family, some quick history on Schisler. They were a couple brothers from Columbus, Ohio, that were all powerlifters. And they were on a national scale of elite powerlifters when it came to the bench press. All of them ranked nationally on the bench press. They started Buckeye Barbell, hence named because of being in Ohio. And that business lasted for about a decade and a half until it went out of business in the 1990s. Buckeye Barbell and Schisler are known for producing all kinds of different weightlifting equipment and barbells and weight sets. However, their most well-known is probably what are called the Eagle Heads. They are very sought after. Their price on the open market have gone up exponentially the past couple of years, and this set are not Eagle Heads. This is a set known as the Centennial set. If we take a look at an old muscle and fitness magazine where they commonly advertised, there's a 2-page spread, and it goes through and it shows you the 310-pound Centennial black set, which is what I will be featuring today, and the identical 310-pound Prestige pewter gray set and executive mirror image chrome set. Throughout the 2-page ad are various shots of the Centennial black set. Let's take a look at what I have on the bar right now, and then we'll get into the restoration process. This is what came with the 310-pound set that cost, by the way, $209. You got 2 45s, 35s, and 25s, and 10s, 4 5s, and then 2 2.5s. It also came with 2 2.5 kilograms, so about 11 pounds total, spin lock collars that had leather lining, and then the 45-pound power bar. The plates were coated with a high gloss black enamel finish, which I was able to reveal by using oxalic acid. Here are some before and after shots of the restoration process. This set had some light rust on it. Every once in a while, like on the 10s and on the back of a couple of the change plates, there's a little heavier rust, or within the hubs. However, this is a perfect project for oxalic acid. You can watch a video of the exact process that I use for oxalic acid, and I'll drop the link in the top right-hand corner now. Just an oxalic acid bath, some baking soda to neutralize, and then some 3-in-1 oil, cleaned these up and made them look brand new. On the barbell, I just used some 3-in-1 oil and a wire brush, and that cleaned off all of the rust. Schisler described the power bar as a high alloy heat-treated 86-inch Olympic bar. It is not the best feature of this set. I'd say it's the weakest part of the set. It has very common end bolts instead of a nice end cap or any kind of split sleeve. It does have some roll pins to keep the collar in place, and I will give it credit that the Schisler logo is kind of nice on the inside collar. The knurling that Schisler described as deep knurling, by today's standards, is not. However, you got to keep in mind, this is the 1980s to 1990s, and as compared to some of the pretty smooth York Olympic bars that I've felt, this isn't too bad. We're not talking Texas power bar here, but it's not too bad for the 1980s and 90s. By today's standards, there are generic barbells with better knurling than this one. Also notable is that there's no center knurling. Schisler advertised this as an Olympic bar. However, it is quite thick, and I would call it a power bar. So it's a little weird that these nationally ranked powerlifters didn't put center knurling on their bar. Schisler advertised these as having clearly marked lettering and numbering, which for the most part they do. The 45s say Schisler, the 35s and 25s say Olympia standard barbell, and then the 10s, 5s, and 2.5s don't have any lettering, but they have the weight marked. However, I have some discrepancy with clearly marked and lettered when I look at the second 45. It looks as if there was some casting flaws here in the 4, the 5, and the S. And then rather than taking their time, or even failing this at a quality control point, if such a thing existed back then, they just sent it out. So my 45s aren't exactly clearly marked and clearly lettered and numbered. We'll get to weight accuracy in just a second because Schisler advertised these as being precision milled for accuracy. As far as precision milled, there are quite a bit of casting flaws, like the bumps on the edge of this 25 or the lettering over here. So I had hoped, well, maybe they are precision milled just for weight, for accuracy. I can tell you that that's the case with everything except the 45s. As far as accuracy, all of the plates were within a half a pound to a quarter pound of their declared weight, except for the 45s. The 45s were quite different than 45. I'll have some tips and tricks for dealing with inaccurate old weight plates coming up on my channel and my Instagram feed in the future. The biggest complaint I hear and that I see and read online about Schislers is that they were made overseas. They were not made in the USA. For having been a company that came up in the 80s and then through the early 90s, that's not altogether unsurprising. And when it comes to the accuracy of these, it explains some of the manufacturing problems with the 45s and the casting marks and things like that. However, it's up to you to decide how much it matters to you as the vintage weight collector. Overall, I would say, even setting aside the blemishes, the casting flaws, and the inaccurate 45s, for the price on today's market that I see these popping up, and they come up a lot of times just rusty and out of someone's basement, I would pick them up if I were you. You can deal with the 45s. The rest of these, you don't have to do anything but put them on the bar and lift them. And the barbell, for having its kind of generic quality to it, is a nice touch if you're getting the rest of the weight set anyway. It always feels nice to have the whole set. And when it comes down to it, deep dish is deep dish. And these are nice, easy to grip, deep dish vintage plates. Get out there, find yourself some vintage weights. Old weights, new gains. This is Vintage Weights, PGH. Please like and subscribe.